movie, and the movie we're talking about is The Preacher, a story based on a novel by a writer there, Ibirahim Issa, and it's a very critical topic and issue in Egypt nowadays, especially after all this turmoil and all this change. And we have the director of the film, Magdy, Ahmed Ali. He's been known for tackling complicated issue in Egypt, and he is visiting us here in the Twin Cities, and we saw his film last night, The Preacher, and talking about how the state, the relationship, and how the state navigate their power by controlling the religion. The state might be against the religion that is out of their control, but they have their ways of controlling the aspect of how the religion is playing politics in Egypt. And here we are. Welcome to Balahdan, Magdy Bey. I will just say I saw the movie twice, but today I saw it by myself. The dog was sitting there after I took a walk with him and I was laughing. This is serious film. Yes. About serious issues, but I was laughing. Some issue there, the sense of humor, the subtlety of how you handle a complicated issue. The dog was very confused about what is this guy doing. But anyway, tell us a little bit about, before you do this film, I'm sure you decided how you're going to handle this complicated issue, that there is a lot of moving parts, and you have to deal with a lot of things, you have to make a lot of decisions. But tell me, you saw the novel. Why did you choose that particular novel? And negotiate to me how you can. A novel is different than a TV series, and how you transform a novel to a film. That was just the creative process.
Thank you very much for having me here. First of all, I have to say that there is no any contradictions between to be serious and to have a sense of humor, and
especially in Egypt.
Especially in Egypt, and I think it's the only way to handle with the difficult subject and sensitive subject is to speak in a way of sense of humor. So this is easier to go into the subject and to facilitate communication with the Egyptian people, and I think this may be one of the reasons that the film has a great success commercially in Egypt, and a lot of people were there for 14 weeks, different generations, teenagers and elderly people who are stopped seeing movies since decades. Mm-hmm. So that's the beginning, and related to the novel, I've read it, because Ibirahim Issa has finished the novel since 2010, and he just wrote it on the novel, But when I dealt with the novel, I tried to say that it's applicable, or it's can be done at any time. So I refused to put any dates or any history on the screen.
That's interesting. I know. Sorry to interrupt you. Okay. That one of the issue I couldn't see. Is this before the revolution? Is it after revolution? It was
before. It was before, and it was speaking about this kind of relationship and mixture, and the control between security authorities or regime and religion people or religious people, and those especially in the media, representing religion in the media, because it's not the same, and this mutual effect of how can authorities use religious people or media men, and how the vice versa.
Yes, what you mean.
So that was the subject about. So it's can be done anytime, and it's not. I think for the future, it will happen for at least 50 years to come.
I mean, it's been happening for 1,000 years.
Yes.
But political Islam and how Islam and religion play a role in our life and how it shapes our life, and I think the role of the media, as you say, and how the media shape our political view about things. As a Muslim minority living in the United States, I mean, I was kind of taken by how the media demonize Islamists, especially after Sisi military coup, and to the point I'm making the analogy about Islamophobia in Egypt and Islamophobia in the West. You know, Islamophobia here, you know, demonizing Muslim and Islam and all of it to the point that you can go and bomb them and kill them in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yes.
But how is it different than in Egypt? Because that was a concept. I'm not trying to be, anti or pro. I'm just saying there was a concert effort, systemic effort to demonize Islamists to the point that now an average Egyptian will say things you wouldn't hear it from way far right in Germany or United States. Kill them all, they are terrorists. Everybody say any religious thing, he's a terrorist. Anybody pray 4 times, 5 times, he's a terrorist. And that scared the heck of people like me living abroad.
You know, I really don't want to discuss who is first responsible about this, but you know, if you do whatever happening in the world, killing and burning and bombing, and this in the name of Islam, you wouldn't accuse the West that they are, creating something. It's a fact, you know. So we have to discuss it before getting angry of the way they handle with Islamophobia and so, with ourselves at the beginning, you know, because this idea is becoming normal among people, and they say that it's coming from Quran and from the origin of Islam. So we have to correct this at the beginning, you know, because it's true, it's coming from this kind of understanding, very, of course, fundamental and very fanatic understanding of Islam. But it happened, and it's still there, you know, we are still suffering inside our societies from this kind of conflict between, you know, if you are differing a little bit, just like this, he may give himself the right to kill you, you know. And this is happening between Shia and Sunnah, and between even the Sunnah themselves, for a very slight change, and between the Shia themselves. So we have to discuss this as a beginning, you know. We are, I think, that we are the only and the first responsible about what's happening. You have to discuss this in a serious way. We have to discuss this idea and where it come from and how to correct it. And as a matter of fact, we have to discuss why you are not progressing, why you are not coming up with the world, you know,
well,
to be part of the world.
Yeah.
And I think this is why, because we are regressive people, we are not be considered of the civilized communities and societies, that we are thinking of maybe there is another reason, outside reasons that banning us from being there. You know?
I don't know what we means, but what I'm saying is most of the West and even the movie and media, they focus on that part of irrationality in the Muslim world, that the terrorists, they define us by the worst. That is the West, because they don't understand how much they have political geopolitics interest. But I'm talking about how you handle that film. You handle it in a more sophisticated way.
Yeah.
You also focus on the irrationality and the extremism and fanaticism of the state.
You know, I tried to do this. You know,
Yes.
I tried to say that among Islam, the preacher is a Muslim also. He's a media man, and he's Sheikh, and he's Azhar, coming from Azhar, and he has got a different idea. And I've tried to say there is a Mu'tazila and there is others, you know, speak in a very different way of what the fundamentals say about Islam.
Yeah.
So I would like to say that it's not a simple matter just to say all Islams or Muslims are terrorists, you know. You have to think of it, because it will never happen like this, you know. Such an very old culture, Islam, in addition to being a religion, it's a culture, you know, and it's been now for more than 13 centuries. So 14th century. So it happened that it was some kind of progress among even the countries they were conquered. Even so, even in Egypt and in Spain and other countries, a lot of speaking about philosophy and science. We have Ibn Sina, we have Ibn Khaldun, we have all. So it's not the problem of Islam, it's the problem of this way of understanding, and maybe of the oil era, and that brings to us a lot of money we don't know how to deal with.
A lot of money, no ideas. But tell us a little bit about Mawlana. This is the story of the Imam, that he became very popular because of his unique way of interpretation and solving the problem, and the struggle between him and the state. The state tried to control him, and he wants to control the state.
Yes.
So who is the Imam for you?
I think there is no ideal Imam, but I tried to say that any different thinking among the media is not permissible in our societies. This is a great dilemma. You have to open window to those kind of ideas, which is the right ideas to look to Islam and to see different point of views, because it's not only one view that concentrating on violence. Now we are I think we are peaceful. So in Egypt we are very peaceful people, and of course we are conservative by
very religious by nature.
Yes, and we are very conservative since the days of pharaohs, before even Islam and Christianity and Jews. So we are conservative people. We like to settle down by the Nile and think in a very slow way.
Watch the trees and sun.
Yes, this is true, but also we are very peaceful people. So I think we took Islam and give these ideas a peaceful way of making. Those who made the mosques in Egypt are the Coptics. So we used to live all together, Coptics and Islam and Muslims and Jews, all together in one kind of unity, because we think that God is only one since the days of the pharaohs, since Akhenaton. So I would like our people to go back to this era where we can live together. God is there, and we believe in God in every way.
Different ways,
and this is the way the Egyptians used to live for centuries.
That would be too much for a movie to make that transformation. But let's talk about what was driving that Mawlana, the Imam. He was driven, like two major incidents that really shocked him. The first incident,
the loss of his
son. So that was the personal things, and he devoted his life to kind of. If he lost his son, he might gain a lot of sons, the fan and all. But also he was two violence. So one nature, two violence. The attack on the Shia's Imam, and the end ended up with attack on the church. So he was driven by his disdain and hate for violence.
I tried to refer that he is a kind of Mu'tazili and a kind of Sufi, because Sheikh Mukhtar, his master, is related to one of the Sufis' ways. So he's, in a way, he is a kind of sympathetic to Sufism, and this is, as you know, it's very peaceful way to deal
the
with.
Rumi.
Yes. And they are, have got this kind of belief that God is everywhere, and you may find God in your heart, and there is no way to reach to God. It's different ways, and we believe that all of us are believers, even the non-believers, in a way. So this is, this is one of his character. This is one of the sides of his character. And the other one is the problem of his son, because I think this is weak point from which the authorities or the security or taking him from. They are controlling him because he has got some kind of a weak point. He is not such an ordinary man, a powerful man, is just a human being. And
was he
can
feeling
be
guilty
controlled.
because what happened to his son?
Yes, I think he was feeling guilty because he didn't learn him how to swim, and he didn't take care of him, instantly.
You don't recover from something like that.
Yes, you don't recover. And it was in the, but I tried to lighten it a little.
Yeah, you didn't mention a whole lot.
Yes, it was in the
beginning.
In my first shooting that he punished himself by going working as a servant in the mosques and so. But I thought that the people will not understand this,
Or will be a lifeguard, you save other kids.
Yes,
there will be something like that. But throughout the film, he was popular as an imam and authority and giving fatwa and all of this and explaining a lot of major problem. But he was not, sold out. People buy him. But the thing is about he's still human. About his son, about his relation, his extramarital relation with Nashwa.
Yes, yes.
That is human, and that's why we can relate to this guy.
Yes.
He's not on a pedestal there.
Yes.
So was that in a novel? Of course.
Yes, it was much more in the novel even, But
you're self-centered.
This is my way to look to people. I don't like to present people as heroes.
Yeah.
Non-mistakable
exactly,
heroes. I don't like
that's
this
in America
kind of
we do that.
No.
The superheroes.
Yes. And sometimes in Egypt you say, why don't you give us al-qudwa, or
no,
the hero
you go to school for that.
No, I don't like this because it's unbelievable. You may see it's nice, but it's unbelievable. In deep in your heart, you are not going to believe it. So when even I was working.
You mean the audience will not be convinced?
Will not believe it. They may be think it's good.
Yeah.
But deep in their heart, it's not like them. It's not like them because they are weak. Of course, they are not so powerful.
Would that be an artistic decision?
It's my way to look to all art. I was even working on Halim, on Abdul Halim Hafiz story. I was working on his life. And it's still it will be one of my projects. So I tried to deal with Halim as a human being, and I'm working now on Baligh Hamdi to maybe
that was more human being than anything else. This guy,
that's
tragic.
Some of his neighbors, some of his relatives, they must like to present him as a prophet or something. But of course, I'm going to, even if it's Nasser or other leader, I wanted to present him as a human being, blood and flesh, and I think it's better.
A complicated person.
Yes,
it's not that simple.
And this is good.
Yeah, very good.
Even for the character,
Well, I mean, we heard enough about heroism of those figures. We need to know, get it there. But one of the things about the Mawlana, the Imam, he always carrying a sabha with him.
Yes.
What was the symbolize there? Because usually they don't carry that all the time, on television and things, talking to his fan. It was always carrying it. I said, doesn't he lose this once in a while? I cannot keep my sabha more than a couple of days and it's lost.
Yes. No,
must have a lot of it.
Among those kind of characters, it is. There is sabha all the time. And I think it's a kind of tension absorption or something like this. So our character is a tense character, so it may be justified.
I know he's screaming at me here and you need to get back to your theater, but once this is done, and is there any, after you've seen this movie many times, you see the feedback here and there, any a decision you should have made or something you would have, if you had the time and luxury and money, you would have made it?
Yes, I really hope for such a film or my next project to be distributed in the States. I was surprised and very pleased by what the audience said for last night. So those, I never expected that.
You never had a Western audience in mind when you make it?
No, of course I had, but not to be compared, but what happened last night.
We are different here in Minnesota.
Yes.
Minnesota, nice.
Maybe Minnesota, because
nice.
I was really surprised. And they said that this subject is interested even to them,
of course.
I thought that they may be interested in Islam, because Islamophobia is now here, and they are interested to discuss such a matter. But they say that they are interested about the whole subject, about the interference between media and religion,
that
and
was
so.
done, well
So
done.
I am now having a great ambitions if it's possible to distribute the film in the States or even in many of the states, not all.
No, that's great, and I think this is a different version that that's what most Americans see on the mainstream media every day.
Yes.
So this is where. But you know, one last thing: you ended the film with this major attack on a church.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of other things too. I know the movie would be kind of Rabaa would have mentioned once because it's a major event, or the fact that people, you know, even people weren't even allowed to have, you know, Rabaa flag, and you have the gay and whatever, you can allow the rainbow. You know, some of the things that happen.
It needs, I think this needs a separate film. But
I see.
That's what I tried to say, that the problem is not the incidents or the demonstrations or whatever. The problems is in here, is in minds. So filling the minds of the people with such an idea, with such a fanatic idea, is going to lead to Rabaa and other things, you know. And of course, I'm happy that we get rid of this, you know, fundamental terrorist in Rabaa and so on. But still, it can happen again many times, and they are still bombing and killing Christians, and we have to confess it's happening. It's now lessons, of course, to a great
Not a lot of people here will call people in Rabaa terrorists. I mean, this is
you know, this is my own opinion about it, and I think they are very dangerous, and they were aiming towards power, just a step towards complete fascism, you know.
Well, thank you so much on that note.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A great movie. We have Magdy Ahmed Ali, the director of The Preacher, was really gained a lot of attention, not just in Egypt, but here in Minnesota, was viewed by a full house last night in Arab Film Festival, and we'll touch with you, we'll follow up with you, but we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all. And after the film, I had a chance to speak with some of the people who actually saw the film. So you saw The Preacher today. It was a full house. There was a lot of friendly audience. So what do you think of the film?
I think it was a good film. And what I liked about it is that unlike so many other films, Arab films right now, which tend to be funded by European money, this actually seems to be independent. And one can see that in the aesthetics of the film, in the kind of jokes that is told, in the kind of sensibility, and the complex way it talks about social issues. It does not kind of conform to scripts that films that are funded by, say, European or outside money kind of sometimes the directors often feel compelled to follow. So for all these reasons, I thought that was kind of enjoyable, kind of way.
Made for like a Western audience, or do you think is any audience?
Well, I mean, I think you're seeing more and more of the Arab films discussing narratives that are somewhat palatable to the Western audience. It's unfortunate to some extent that we take on those narratives rather than really deal with issues that we have in the communities. This is one of the issues that is serious, and I think it talks not only about fundamentalism within society, but the creation of fundamentalism as a reaction to the oppression of the state.
The state also has its own abuse or use of Islam and religion to control and to stay in power.
Islam is one of the languages that people know. So that's so it is kind of a powerful kind of discourse that the ordinary person has. So it is going to be used by everyone, by people who want to justify authoritarian rule over society. It's also going to be used by people who are liberals, who wants, for example, to say that Islam promotes, say, gender equality or social equality in general, or good social systems. But also it gets used by people who want to justify unquestioned power over others, and that is true of any religion that is well established in society. It is well established because a lot of people believe in it, and because a lot of people believe in it, it is going to be used by different forces. It is not going to have a single meaning across all these groups.
I enjoyed the film very much, and I especially enjoyed the surreal film of the priests eating, the sheikhs. I find it to be very engaging and dreamy in a way, and found it almost out of place. Like I wish the whole film was surreal like that.